Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us here in the city of Bartlett today. We're on Oak Road, an area of our community that was hit particularly hard by the straight line winds on Sunday night. I'm joined today by the mayor of Bartlett, David Parsons, who was out checking on his team, who has been part and parcel of the restoration effort. Before I go any further, I want to talk a little bit about the partnership with the county and with all of our municipalities. We are in this together. We have been for every single outage that we have and every single effort that we go through that's a challenge to our community. Whether it's coming together to clear trees that are blocking roads, whether it's putting cooling centers on to help our customers when they're in need, or whether it's rallying support from nonprofits to make sure our customers are taken care of, the mayors of this community do a really good job of representing our communities and their needs. And you'll hear from Mayor Parsons in just a moment. I'm pleased to report that we have restored more than 112,000 of the 122,000 customers that were impacted by the storm. Right now we stand at 9,400 customers who still remain to be restored, and that number is coming down. When I checked at 6 o'clock this morning, we were at about 14,000, so that number is coming down and continuing to come down due to the good work of the folks who are here doing this restoration effort. We know that those 9,400, there are some large clusters of outages in the Millington, Shelby Farms, and North Haven area. Here in the Bartlett area, there is a small cluster in the Lakeland area. And in the city of Memphis, in the Raleigh neighborhood, we know that there is a concentrated cluster. In order to take care of those outages, we have more than 28 repair crews here in Bartlett who are supported by 34 tree crews. In the Shelby Forest Millington area, we have 25 crews who are supported by 29 tree cutting crews. In the Lakeland area, we have 15 response crews. And in the Memphis area and the rest of unincorporated Shelby County, we have 29 repair crews who are supported by more than 30 tree cutting crews. Now, that is a lot of crews in any one area. I want to take a point of emphasis to say, why don't you put more in any one area? We are reaching a point where it can become unsafe if you have too many crews in one area. If you think about how we do restoration, we have to ensure that the area that our crews are working on is not energized. While crews who are making repairs, and I'll stop for just a second, one of our contracted repair crews is coming through. While crews who are making repairs are asking that that line be energized so they can make sure it works. We want to make sure that we are in good coordination so that we don't hurt anybody in the restoration process. So that's a lot of crews in close proximity. It is a huge coordination effort, and we want to make sure that we do this safely more than anything. I appreciate everyone's patience. I will say what I said yesterday. I know how difficult this is. I spoke with several of the residents here on Oak Road who've been out since Sunday. They see the damage. They're appreciative that we're here, but like I said yesterday, it just takes too long when your power is out, and I understand that. I know how difficult that is for everybody. We will do our level best to get as many people on as quickly as we can. We talked about that there will be some number of people into this weekend despite our best efforts. I am going to do everything we can to make that number as small as we possibly can. So with that, I'm going to stop and ask Mayor Parsons if you'd like to say a few words, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'd just like for everyone to know that since Sunday night, I'm very thankful to have President McGowan, the accessibility that we've had with his office. Ever since Sunday night, we've been in communication several times a day, working hand in hand. I'm thankful that we've got, I can say today that we've got most of our fire stations are up, our water treatment plant is up, our wastewater plant is up, our hospital is up and going, a lot of the essentials. We have all 30 of our signals up and going now. There's at least a blinking light at all of those, some of them working properly. And I'm just thankful for the accessibility. I'm thankful for the response. Just yesterday, we've been working hand in hand with them. We had about 11 areas that trees were down blocking roads, where we had major huge trees on power lines that we didn't know if they was hot or not, and working hand in hand, and the president sent a representative out to determine where those lines were safe to repair, and working in conjunction with them, we was able to take that number that was yesterday 11 down to 4 in 24 hours, working hand in hand. And those 4 now are such large trees and mangled so much that it's going to take the experience of his contractors in to get that to happen. So again, just like Doug had just said, we understand the temperature, we understand the length of time. There's a lot of helping hands trying to resolve getting you back your power. So just know that everyone's working hard. Everybody understands that it's been 4 and 5 days, and some of this, I think it's 100 degrees right now. So we understand the urgency, we understand the need, and we're working and doing everything in the city of Bartlett, as long with the other municipalities and Light, Gas, and Water, to make sure that we get your power on as promptly as we can and conduct it efficiently in a safe manner so that no one gets hurt. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll wrap up by saying some of the services that are being offered. There are plenty of respite centers during the day. There's a cooling center, several cooling centers that were open overnight. I know that we had less than a dozen people that took advantage of that overnight, so I want to encourage people, if you have no other options for cooling, that is available to you. I want to thank our partners at MATA, who have a dedicated route to get people out to that cooling center. And we've had a heck of a lot of help from a lot of nonprofits and churches to make sure that people have things they need. I will wrap up by saying, remember to call 211 if there's something and a problem you just think you can't solve. I'm in need of food replacement, I'm in need of a place to go. 211 will have the answers for you, and they can connect you to a service that will help meet your needs. So with that, I'll stop and take questions. Sure. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I failed to mention that, so thank you for reminding me. We have heard, and you will see, there are 9,400 people without power. Periodically, that number will jump. And I want to use an example for why that is. Your power may be on, but it may not be on the primary path that it typically uses to get there. I want you to think about the bridges that we have between Shelby County and Arkansas. We have 2 of those bridges. When one is down for repair, we reroute all the traffic to one bridge. You can still get back and forth from Shelby County to Arkansas, but we're putting a heck of a lot more demand on that bridge. And what happens is, if there's a wreck, that bridge shuts down too, and now suddenly you can't get back and forth. Similar to that are circuits. If I am rerouting power on one circuit, that means I have twice as many customers on that line. When the heat picks up and the demand picks up, sometimes that line will also go off, and we have to find a way to reroute power, and then once it's ready, we can re-energize that. So, as a normal part of the restoration process, occasionally people who've had their power restored will lose it temporarily, and I know how frustrating that is, but know that that is part of the process. We are rerouting power and trying to get it back on the primary path, and sometimes that means that that circuit that's overloaded will trip off. That is understandable, that it's frustrating to folks, but when that we're doing double duty. So just because your power's back on doesn't mean I have the permanent solution in place. It probably means I'm doing everything I can to reroute power to you now, and there may be a minor hiccup between now and a permanent solution. So it's not that we don't know about it. We know that that's happening. It's part of the process. Yes, any other questions? Oh, so they should let us know immediately that their power is off. What we see is people are actually doing that. They're reporting, hey, my power was on, now it's back off. We will, in that case, we will try to avoid having our automatic message go out saying your power's back on, because we know that it's going to be a short period of time before we get that back on. So it should not be a matter of days. It certainly should not be a matter of hours. It's going to be a very short period of time, unless there's some other problem, and then we will let you know there's a problem with that circuit. Any other questions for me or the mayor?
Are all substations operating at full capacity?
Yes, so our substations are operating at full capacity. People have asked about what our demand is. Our peak demand here in Shelby County is about 3,300 megawatts. Yesterday we got to about 3,020 megawatts, so we still had about 10% buffer. Today I anticipate that will go up a little bit as we have more people on. I do not forecast that we will exceed our peak, and that is consistent with what our power provider at TVA is seeing across the valley. So we're in pretty good shape today. Those overloads are going to happen on those individual circuits where I'm doubling people up, and that will be a temporary outage while I reroute that power. Any other questions? Mayor, any final words you want to say, sir?
I'd just say that I ask the citizens to just keep all of Shelby County in your prayers, and there's a lot of folks in need, and so if there's something we can all do, the least we can all do is pray that we get things restored and get life back to some sense of normalcy next week.
Sorry. Oh yeah, okay, sure. Sure. No, that's right. So remember, when I said 9,400, that number, when I stood up here, it was 9,400 people who had been impacted by the storm. What you're seeing with that 11,400 is one of those circuits that has been turned off to make a repair, and then it'll be turned back on. Earlier today, when we were at about, we had just under 11,000 customers that were still remaining without power. It jumped to 16,000 for about 15 minutes. And then it came right back down to under 10,000. So there will be time when we turn those circuits off to make a repair. We'll turn it back on. So those, it's frustrating, as I mentioned, but those intermittent outages are part of when you're restoring a system that's as big as ours and having to reroute power to the primaries. That's going to happen. So, but we know it's happening, and so it's not the system is continuing to fail or anything like that. You had a second question. As I said, we're going to have substantial restoration by this weekend, and there's a small number of people that will go into the weekend. So today we're approaching 99% of our customers back on. For the remaining 1%, that is little solace, because every single customer counts. And so we are not going to stop working. All those resources I told you about are not going to stop working until we get everybody restored. Well, so 1% of our total customer base on electric would be about 4,000 customers. I'm saying we'll be there, I anticipate today, and I'm hopeful that we'll get that number down from there. Thank you. All right, appreciate y'all coming on out.